What's up everyone, this is CrimsonWolf from Gaming for Dummies. This is our first video and today I will give you some general tips and advice about The Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings. So The Witcher 2 is a sequel to The Witcher, a game based on Polish writer Andrzej Sapkowski's novels and stories about the fictional character Geralt of Rivia, who is a witcher, often referred to as a professional monster slayer. The Witcher 2 is a very story-heavy role-playing game, so I will not give out any advice regarding the story and the choices you can make. That's right, if you've only just bought the game, you don't have to worry about any spoilers, as I will try to keep this completely spoiler-free for all viewers. Let me begin by telling you a few general tips about The Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings, and by general tips I mean the very basic stuff that you should already know but for some reason don't. The stuff that's so simple but takes time for many people to figure out. Once again, I repeat, this is some very basic stuff, so if you've already completed the entire prologue and started chapter 1 of this game, you definitely should know these things and might want to skip to the character development part of the guide. Alright, so the first thing that so many people ridiculously forget to find out about is what the general combat controls are. Obviously, the W, A, S and D keys control Geralt's movement. Pressing down the shift key while running forward will make him walk, which is a useful but often forgotten about feature when walking through areas that are full of armed traps. Pressing the 1 key will draw the Witcher's steel sword, while pressing the 2 key draws his silver sword for monsters. Also, don't forget to sheathe your weapon when walking into populated areas, by pressing the same key you used to get it out, as the guards there will not hesitate to attack, and you will either end up having to pay a fine or be executed. The Q key is used to cast spells known as signs during combat, but it works only when a weapon is drawn. If both of your swords are sheathed, pressing Q will simply draw one of them. Also, you can use the E key to block blows from enemies. The second thing that most people forget about are mutagens. Mutagens can be used to enhance Geralt's armor, vitality, damage dealt, chance of inflicting critical effects on enemies, etc. Mutagens can be found when the corpses of slain monsters are crafted. They can be assigned to abilities by pressing the control key. Pressing the control key brings up the mini menu that slows down time, can be used to quickly select different signs and pick other ranged weapons such as daggers and bombs. However, what you want to do from here is select meditation. Once there, you will have the following options: drinking potions, alchemy, meditation, which is usually basically used to fast forward time for quest purposes, and character. Click on character and from there you will see the development paths. You can only assign mutagens to abilities that you have unlocked. Also, not all abilities have available mutagen slots. Once you start playing The Witcher 2, you will notice that every time you gain enough experience points, Geralt, the protagonist of the game, will get a new level. With each new level, you gain 1 talent to spend on various abilities. There are 4 development paths you can assign talents to: the basic training path, the swordsmanship path, the alchemy path, and the magic path. Each of these has many abilities suited for different character builds. The training path contains the basic skills Geralt will need through the game and is the shortest development path. The 3 main development paths are locked until you spend 6 talents on the training abilities. I found it best if you just upgrade all the training abilities to the first stages, which takes away your 6 talent points, as there are 6 upgradable abilities in the training path, and once you've done that, move on to the other paths. Assassins of Kings was purposely designed in a way so that it is impossible to max out and fully upgrade all development paths and abilities on one playthrough, so that the player will try out new character builds on other playthroughs of the game. Anyway, so the swordsmanship path contains all the abilities and enhancements that improve Geralt's performance in melee battle and swordplay. Whether they increase vitality, reduce damage dealt by enemies, or enlarge the distance covered when dodging, they're all very useful if you want to get up close and personal. On the other hand, the alchemy development path is for players who depend more on ability enhancing consumables, weapon oils, and bombs. Maxing out this path will make Geralt an expert on brewing potions. The skills in the alchemy path can come useful during the preparation and meditation period before battle. They may often tip the odds of a difficult fight in your favor. Last but not least, the magic path is for gamers who want an experience balanced by both melee and ranged combat. Adding points to magic abilities will improve the effectiveness of Geralt's science and magic in general. Once some of this path is maxed out, science can be used more often and deal more damage in combat. In the end, there's really no right or wrong way to develop a character build in The Witcher 2. It's all up to preference and how you want to fight your enemies in the game. However, if you choose to play on hard difficulties, which is strongly advised against, you may have to come up with your own strategies. For example, as some of you may know, this game can be very unforgiving at first, even and easy, and requires you to constantly dodge enemy attacks as well as blocking incoming strikes. This means that acquiring the featwork ability from the swordsmanship path is almost a must, as it proves the distance improve the distance covered by Geralt when dodging by 100%, allowing you to quickly dodge all attacks and run away from losing a fight. Alright, now that I've covered the basic stuff you should know about leveling up, I shall move on to talk about equipment and how to successfully manage your inventory, so that you don't find yourself in situations where you're carrying too much weight often. First off, when you finish a chapter and just reach the starting location of the next one, do not upgrade any of your armor and don't engrave any of your swords with runes. Neither should you buy the best stuff you see at the nearest vendor. If you do this, you will often find yourself reloading the game because you found something much better and was just a few steps away, but you've spent your money on something else and now you don't have enough. So it's best if you think ahead when upgrading any of your gear. For example, if you've just arrived at Vergen in Chapter 2 and Geralt is currently wearing the Hunter's armor, and you notice that awesome set of Dragon Scale armor on sale, don't go ahead upgrading your current gear just because you can't afford the better one at the shop. Save the best upgrades for later. Complete a few quests, win a few dice poker games and do some arm wrestling. You will soon have enough to buy the better suit of armor. Then you will be able to upgrade it with the best enhancements that you've saved for it. The second thing I should talk about is inventory management. It's understandable for you to pick up every single item from every chest or corpse you loot at the beginning of the game. It's a cheap way to get money, we've all done it in RPGs before, and we're all guilty. But once you are later on in the game, don't go around picking up junk weapons that are worth only 5 orange apiece. You won't gain much from it and you will only clutter your inventory as well as going over your maximum carry weight limit. One other important thing to consider is blacksmithing materials. Sure, they come in handy and you usually don't have them when you need them, but you shouldn't ever carry too much of them. Remember, every piece of iron ore you carry weighs 1. Your carry weight limit is 300. Once I was carrying 72 iron ores and was wondering what was going over the limit so much. So yeah, you should try to keep out of situations like those always. My best advice on this topic is to carry only 20 pieces at a time of each of the most common crafting materials like iron ore, cloths, twine, leather and timber. So I should just do the same on each playthrough. However, it's usually best to keep as much as you can of the less common crafting components you find, such as silver ore, robust cloths, meteorite fragments, and hardened leather, because you almost never have enough of them when you need them. When it comes to alchemical ingredients, I didn't even consider throwing them out. They weigh so little and can be so useful that it isn't worth losing them. I've collected almost every ingredient I found, apart from the heavier monster remains, and ended up selling a lot of them in the last chapter of the game, while gaining a good bit of gold from it. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. Remember to send us any suggestions for future guides to gamingfordummies@gmail.com, and don't forget to visit our forum if you have any questions or just want to talk to us about games. The URL address for our forum is in the description of this video. Once again, thanks for watching and have a great day.